Marketing is everything these days, and the creators and money men behind each video game put great stock in their announcements, hoping to drive up enough hype around a release that it all but flies off the shelves on launch day. But over the years, there have been many video game announcements that didn't go quite as planned, leading us to cry out in disbelief, "This can't be real!" So with that in mind, I'm Sai, this is WhatCulture, and here are 10 video game announcements no one wanted to believe. Number 10, Funko Fusion. Funko Fusion is not a name anybody wanted to hear ever, and yet here we are discussing the multi-platform game based on the already brand synergy intensive Funko Pop toy line in 2025. Still. When Funko Incorporated and developer 1010 Games announced Funko Fusion in 2023, nobody could believe their eyes or ears, and with good reason. With a mashup of familiar properties including the Umbrella Academy, Battlestar Galactica, Back to the Future, The Thing, and my beloved Shaun of the Dead, the announcement promised a game that would take everything fans loved about their favourite horror, sci-fi and fantasy films and shows and funnel it through a filter of Funko toys, sapping away any charm and wearing our favourite IPs like a bloated skin suit. Even fans of the LEGO games or Fortnite, both of which feature similar IP mashups, couldn't believe what they were seeing. The press release promised superficiality of the highest order, maximum consumer tie-ins, and little in the way of meaningful gameplay. And you know what? Following the release of the game, we can say that they well and truly delivered on all of that. Why? Why does this exist? Number 9, Call of Duty Infinite Warfare. Given how large the player base of the franchise is, fans of the Call of Duty games have been vocally critical of the series on pretty much every release since the early Modern War days. And yet the announcement of Infinite Warfare in 2016 attracted a special kind of ire. When Infinite Warfare was announced, Call of Duty players had already found their way through Black Ops 2, Ghosts, Advanced Warfare and Black Ops 3, each with diminishing returns. That is to say, shorter campaigns, less offline features and more microtransactions. Most importantly, each propelled the game's story further and further into the future. Fatigue for this format had well and truly set in, and when Infinite Warfare's initial trailer dropped, promising more of the same, it rapidly became the most disliked gaming video on YouTube at the time. But more of what players didn't want isn't even where the disbelief ends. At the same time, Infinity Ward announced that it would be releasing a remastered version of 2007 fan favourite Modern Warfare with revised graphics, animations and sound effects, but only as an extra in the special edition release of Infinity War. It literally felt like they picked up the magic 8-ball, shook it and asked, how can we piss off our audience the most? Number 8, Artifact. Back in 2017, it had been a while since developer Valve had announced a new IP, riding on the goodwill and player base of games like Half-Life and Left 4 Dead, and putting a lot of focus on Dota 2. And during the Dota 2 tournament in Seattle, Valve decided to surprise announce a brand new video game using such a large gathering of fans to their advantage. Everyone waited with bated breath, hoping for the loftiest dreams like Half-Life 3, Left 4 Dead 3, maybe Portal 3, or even just an update for Dota 2, but what they got, they could hardly believe. Broadcaster Sean Plott introduced a short teaser video with a prominently featured triangular logo, which ended with the title Artifact, the Dota card game. The Dota digital card game was received like a slap in the face, with loud vocal disappointment from those in attendance. I mean, seriously, it's the loudest "oh, what" I've ever heard from a crowd. Of everything people were hoping for from Valve, it was not Dota Yu-Gi-Oh! And for Plott to conclude the announcement with his own description of having played test versions of the game and no actual gameplay or screenshots, that just added insult to injury. Number 7, Super Mario 3D All-Stars. Announced at Nintendo's Super Mario 35th Anniversary Direct event, Super Mario 3D All-Stars brought together the classic games Mario 64, Sunshine and Galaxy in a single bundle for the very first time on the Nintendo Switch. This pairing of classic titles with contemporary hardware was something Mario devotees had wanted since the console first hit the market, and seemingly an open goal, so how did it go wrong? Well, when they made their big announcement, Nintendo had a caveat. The game would have a strictly limited release window beginning on September 18th, 2020 and concluding on March 31st, 2021. Needless to say, fans were less than happy and went after the company on claims of its marketing and publishing strategy being anti-consumer. Limiting the game's release like this would create scarcity, and seemingly for no reason whatsoever other than to get a big boom in initial sales. Doug Bowser, president of Nintendo of America, said the limited release was simply intended to celebrate the 35th anniversary of Mario in a unique way. Yes, I suppose uniquely terrible is still a unique way. Number 6, Metal Gear Survive. Action-adventure stealth series Metal Gear has been a staple in gaming since the 4th game in the franchise, Metal Gear Solid, released on the PlayStation 1 in 1998 and took the world by storm. The franchise originally grew and evolved under the watchful eye of Hideo Kojima, but after MGS5 The Phantom Pain was completed in 2015, he departed Konami and left a gaping hole with few ideas to fill it. In a desperate attempt to ensure the continuity and longevity of the IP, as if that was ever in question, Konami announced just 1 year later in 2016 that the next game in the series was going to be Metal Gear Survive. A zombie horror in the vein of Resident Evil or Dead Island with, quote, unique co-op settings that are designed for a truly engrossing multiplayer experience. Needless to say, this departure from the tone, style and gameplay of the multitude of existing titles was met with skepticism, doubt and in some cases, all-out rage. And that includes Hideo himself, who during a stage presentation at TGS that year declared that the game had nothing to do with him and that Metal Gear should be about political espionage, not zombies. And look, I'm not even the biggest fan of the guy, but go get him, Hideo. Number 5, Pong Toss Frat Party Games. The Nintendo Wii may be a hazy memory now, but that doesn't mean that the millions of us in the right place at the right time don't have fond memories of its involved, if a little rough around the edges gameplay. Physical interaction was usually the name of the game with the Wii, and game developers intentionally created games that mimicked real-world activities, including shooting, sword fighting, sports, and party games. Despite gamers being open to pretty much anything on the console, developer JV Games didn't reckon with what was really appropriate for the family-oriented system, and what was not. JV announced Beer Pong Frat Party Games in 2008, an interactive game based around the popular drinking game Beer Pong. Yes, really. Rather than modify it for a broad audience, the developer retained the consumption of alcohol as the game's core premise, situating the action in a bar where muscular and scantily clad students competed to become the Pong champion. Pretty much everyone found it hard to believe that this was even real when it was announced, and as a result of the widespread shock and disbelief, the developer changed the name to Pong Toss prior to release. And this had the double effect of switching the game's rating from T for teen to E for everyone. Considering most of you have probably never heard of this before, and those of you who have probably just know more about the controversy than the game itself, I'm sure you can figure out whether or not it's sold. Number 4, Grand Theft Auto The Trilogy, the Definitive Edition. A good remaster can mean the rejuvenation of a fan-favourite classic that updates the graphics and irons out any kinks while allowing a whole new generation of gamers to access it. But a bad one can be a shameless cash grab by developers, or worse. Whatever the reason, one of the most sinful things developers can do is delist the old game, removing it from purchase and forcing you into buying the new version, whether good, bad, or pretty much just the same. This is precisely what happened when Rockstar brought forth their remastered set of 3 classic Grand Theft Auto titles, 3 Vice City and San Andreas, which they packaged as the Trilogy, the Definitive Edition. With the 2021 announcement for PS5, PS4, Xbox X, Xbox S, Xbox One, Nintendo Switch and the Rockstar Games Launcher, previous versions of all 3 titles in the bundle were removed from console and PC digital retailers. Nobody could believe it, as no matter what quality or condition the remaster games were in, it meant anyone wishing to revisit the games in their original form were blocked out and locked into buying the trilogy. And let me just tell you, definitive they ain't. Such was the backlash and outrage, including review bombing to a score of 0.4 out of 10 on Metacritic, that Rockstar actually partially rolled back on its decision and reinstated the old games on the PC store. I guess that's something. Number 3, Palworld, More Than Just Pals. Last year, Pocket Pair released a trailer for a new version of Pokemon-adjacent monster taming survival game Palworld that had everyone tearing their hair out. Called Palworld More Than Just Pals, it promised to bring together various monster and human characters in, quote, an exciting school filled with cute pals, where they would date and rub and touch each other. Thankfully, it was all just an April Fool's Day prank put together by the developers reminiscent of Nintendo DS Classic Sprung, until it wasn't. The second trailer for the dating sim has just dropped, and this time it's going to be a lot harder to deny that it might be legit. All indications suggest that this time it's for real, including an official Steam page and confirmation from the game's official social media accounts. But all isn't lost, I suppose, as More Than Just Pals is more than your average dating game promising endless possibilities, whether you want to stay friends with pals, develop romantic relationships with them, or even dismember and eat them. All of this done during an ongoing legal dispute with the companies behind Pokemon. Pocket Pair might just be the most no Fs given development team around. Number 2, Diablo Immortal. Of all the most infamous video game announcements, Blizzard's Diablo Immortal is up there with the worst. The developer kicked off the Diablo series back in '97, released first for Windows and then moving to Mac and PlayStation the following year. The franchise has remained on players' minds each decade since, typically releasing one main installment and several expansion packs to keep fans sated. For some reason, the developer decided to position Diablo as the centerpiece for their 2018 BlizzCon event, acting as though they had either another main installment in the series ready to announce, or another expansion, which would have been surprising after 2017's Rise of the Necromancer had really just come out. Yet it turned out to be a mobile game. Fans who were used to playing games of epic size and scope on console and PC prayed that this was some kind of ruse designed to lull them into a false sense of security before the real major announcement got made, but that was not the case. The announcement was followed by a scathing Q&A that saw Blizzard booed by their own audience. Boo, boo, not saying boo-earns, just saying boo. And number 1, Muse. Still saying boo. Video games may look like child's play to the general public, but for those invested in this world, a good game can transcend these social stigmas and become a piece of art. Indeed, there are plenty of developers working today who believe in crafting wildly and deeply involved games that offer experiences quite unlike any other art form, taking the moving image, player interaction, sound effects and graphics to a whole other level. Unfortunately, Microsoft's Xbox, one of the biggest names in gaming, doesn't seem to feel the same. Just this year, Xbox announced Muse, a generative AI model for gaming that generates visuals and controller actions, essentially creating new games after being trained on existing ones. The current iteration of Muse is built on 2020 multiplayer flop Bleeding Edge, and footage demonstrates that it can create what seems to be a reasonable facsimile of the game. While Xbox are claiming that this could be put to good use preserving older games or making them portable to other platforms, it undeniably opens the floodgates to AI in gaming, making the implications for the future of game development kind of bleak. And if this feels to you like it runs contrary to everything that game creation and participation is about, well, you aren't alone. And hey, while we're talking about video game announcements that no one could believe, here's a video on video game urban legends everyone believed, presented by the incomparable Joe Johnston. Thank you for watching, and have a good week!